My wife and oldest daughter are playing World of Warcraft right now, so I'm going to take a little time to teach my other daughter some basic stitches for joining leather. Hope you guys enjoy. So here's the tools we're going to be using tonight. This is a stitch groover. This is adjustable, so you can slide this over, cuts a little ribbon of leather or creates a groove for insetting your stitches. This is important for a saddle stitch, but I use it for just about everything because I like it, but it's not necessary for all stitches. This is an awl. This is a chisel. It's flat, pointed. Generally comes in nice little sets like these. These are awesome. We've also got a stitching wheel, which I'll demonstrate. You'll see that. The other big thing is artificial sinew. You can get this at any crafting store and any leatherworking store. Comes in different colors, different thicknesses. This stuff is absolutely amazing. So here we're going to show how to use the stitching wheel and the awl. Okay, now that we got those punched out, I cut it in half so that my holes line up. I'm now going to show you guys how to use a chisel. Easiest way, you got 3 holes, overlap this with the one you just did, and it'll keep the spacing even the whole way through. For most of these stitches, I find it's easiest working 2 threads at the same time. And so I'll usually start out with a single long piece and put on 2 needles. The first stitch we do is going to be a simple cross stitch, which generally just butts them up against each other. Having one single strand means that I can put a couple loops in the first stitch rather than having to tie a knot. So we get a nice little X on our first stitch, if that shows. And on the back, just like that first stitch, we just doubled back on the holes. So if you're not happy with how tight it is, it's real easy to take the awl and work the threads tighter from the front or from the back. I'm just going to put a little loop across the end of it here and then I'll tie a simple knot and expose it to a little bit of heat, and it'll give us a nice seal. So now we're going to do a baseball stitch. I started out the exact same as the other with a loop up top. Like a cross stitch, it'll cross over, but instead of going top to top, it's going to go top through the slit to the bottom and up. Left, right, left, right, left, right, whatever your preference is. So I'll do a couple stitches and show you. Alright, so there's a little gap in there, so I'm going to take my awl, I'm going to tighten these up, and then I'm going to loop it around at the end and knot it and melt it just like the last one. So when you melt the knot, you're obviously not trying to catch it on fire generally. You're trying to get it to get goopy and melty, and then just use your lighter to squish it all down, and it creates a beautifully tight knot. These are really only workable with heavier ounce leather, not really with the thinner stuff generally. I'm going to show one more stitch. That's a saddle stitch on these itty bitty little scraps. And basically it's 2 threads again, looping in opposite holes up and down and up and down. The saddle stitch works quite well for thinner leather, but I typically have other go-to stitches that I'll show in another video. So here goes. Okay, so what you can see here is it gives you a nice solid row of stitches mirrored on the underside. This is a great overlap stitch for thicker leather. You want to make sure you use a groove cutter on this because it minimizes wear and tear on those stitches, that single row. Sorry. You can take one string, go the whole way down, and then thread it back up. But like the other stitches I showed you, my preference is just use 2 threads, 2 needles. I can actually do this a lot quicker than trying to do it in front of the camera. But anyway, I'm not going to tie that off. You guys get the idea. Very simple. You guys have a good night.